Welcome to week 10, day 2, how to achieve balance. And as you know from yesterday's lecture, I'm very passionate and very big on achieving balance. As you can tell from my personal experience, it's something that's very important to me. And I've seen the plus sides and I've seen the downsides of it. So it's very important that we don't just show you how to eat and how to train, but we also show you how to achieve balance within your life. I think as a coach and as health professionals, if we're only focusing on nutrition and training, we're missing a whole massive section out to overall health and well-being. So this is something that's very important and I wanted to put into this program, and I want all of you to take this just as seriously and just as important as training and nutrition, because without lifestyle and without balance, there can be no long-term success. You're just digging yourself into a hole. You might be getting results now, but as we know, we're going to create peaks and troughs if we don't achieve balance. So today's lecture, we're going to look at achieving balance in a little more detail and come from a slightly different angle. And at the end, I'm going to give you my 5 top tips. So how to achieve balance? Eating off the plan. So you may or you may not have a plan. Eating to a plan is going to give you results because it's calculating calories and macros, applying attention to nutrient source and to micronutrients and meal timing. What it doesn't do is it doesn't account for connecting with yourself, connecting with your own emotions and your own feelings. And this is one of the issues that people gain weight in the first place, because they don't understand what being full really is and how that feels. Because they never eat intuitively, they eat what's put in front of them, they lose the connection, they don't understand what being full actually feels like. And this causes people to overeat and then obviously gain weight. So if we're to eat to a plan, we're not helping us reconnect with that feeling and that emotion, which is very important. All we're doing is allowing ourselves to follow a plan. And whilst we're following a plan, we're not really in a position where we can then leave it, because we're kind of a slave to the plan. So being able to eat off the plan helps us reconnect with these emotions and these feelings, the feeling of feeling hungry again and feeling full. So a plan will give us better results, but it doesn't help us understand what being full and being hungry is. Whereas eating off a plan will help us connect with those feelings. But if we are eating off a plan all the time, we may fall short of our weight loss goals because we're not hitting the right calories and macronutrients. So I think there should be times throughout the year where you do eat off the plan and you try to eat intuitively. And I think there should be times where you do eat on a plan. Or you can take the other approach where you base yourself off a plan but eat some parts of the day or some parts of the week where you eat intuitively. So I'll provide plans, I do provide plans, but I always encourage people to eat intuitively on their non-training days, unless they're preparing for a competition where they have to have optimal results. On the non-training days, if you can eat intuitively, eat as you feel, eat the foods and the nutrients that you feel that you want and you need, and then give us the feedback, or give yourself the feedback of how that went. How did you go when you were eating intuitively? Did you feel like you overate? Did you feel like you underate? Did you eat different foods that aren't in your meal plan? This is what we want to encourage. We want you to be able to eat freely and without the restrictions of a guide. We don't want nutrition to be about hitting targets or limitations or only allowed so much. We don't want to live like that. It's not a healthy mentality towards food. And we can't achieve good balance and optimal long-term health whilst we're always following a guide, living to restrictions. There has to be an element in your week, your day, or your year where we do eat intuitively and we do learn what it feels like to be really hungry, and we do feel like realize what it does feel like to be hungry and full. These are very important connections, and if we can manage these, understand these, and learn these feelings and emotions again, we can then work towards better optimal health. Anybody can upload a diet plan off the internet, but it's just not that easy. Like, we have to be able to connect and learn how to eat off the plan. We have to learn what hunger feels like and when we're full. So an activity that you could try is on your non-training day or the last meal of the day, or you could go a whole week trying to eat intuitively. What I would suggest to you is just sit down and prepare a meal. And don't prepare a meal to numbers and guidelines like a plan. Just eat the food and serve the portion that you feel is adequate, or what you need or what you want. And when you're halfway through, just sit down and wait 5 minutes. And then finish the other half if you need to. the hunger sensation takes about 5 to 10 minutes to register in the brain. So sitting down, watching TV, it's just mindless eating, and we're not thinking about being full, or we're sitting down eating what McDonald's serve us, the serving that they serve us. This isn't a healthy mentality. So the art of sitting down, preparing food, and eating as a family, but sit down and talking and thinking and focusing and really appreciating and savouring your food, this is a skill that's got lost over time. And as a result of that, part of the reason that the obesity levels have gone through the roof is because we've lost that connection. We've lost the feeling, the ability to know when we're full and when we're hungry. So my advice would be to sit down and just prepare a meal, eat halfway, wait for 5 minutes, and then eat the second half if you need to. Eat until you're 80% full and then just stop. You don't need to eat to you're busting at the seams. So try that activity and put an element of eating intuitively into your day, your week, or your year, and give yourself the feedback. How did I go? Did my weight go up this week from eating intuitively? Did I absolutely binge out? Is this a bad activity for me? Am I not safe to eat intuitively? Then we need to go back and look at your habits and your routines and prepare you to be able to do that. But eating intuitively is something that's very, very important, and I encourage even my professional athletes to go through periods where they do this. So have parts we eat on the plan, have parts we don't. Learn to eat intuitively, and this will help you achieve balance. A long-term strategy was basically what we spoke about. You want to plan when you're going to have times where you eat intuitively and reconnect, and times where you're more direct and more compliant to the plan, and you're a little bit stricter. You want to make sure that you have a strategy in place and you're not always relying on a meal plan. And set yourself guidelines. If you are going to eat intuitively, just set those guidelines. What are your restrictions? What are your limitations? Just make sure that you're not going to go absolutely haywire and eat everything. You know, sit down and say, if you're not 100% confident to do this, just say, I'm just going to have this last meal, and what I'm going to include is this, this, and this, and I'm not going to go too crazy with this. Or if you're doing a period of eating intuitively, just set yourself a week, a day, or a month, or however long the period. Set those restrictions and guidelines so that you don't get carried away and completely backfire. And put those reviews in as well. Put those weekly reviews in. How did I go? How did I go with eating intuitively? Do I need to go back to the drawing board? Was I okay? What can you learn about yourself? For me, my biggest problem when I do eat intuitively is I will naturally just undereat by about 100%. I'll probably eat half of what I should be eating. And what I used to do when I was in England is I would eat intuitively on my non-training days, and my girlfriend, she's so OCD, she'd record everything secretly in her phone of what I was eating, and then at the end of the day she'd go, this is what you ate. You haven't even met your protein target for the day. All that hard work you did during the week, you've just ruined that. But it was a good activity because it helped me learn, and then the next non-training day when I was eating intuitively, I kind of knew that I needed to eat more and eat more protein, so it helped me move forward. And over the 3-month period that I was there, I learned a lot about myself from putting these intuitively eating periods in. And set yourself boundaries as well. So when we're trying to achieve balance and we're eating intuitively and we're having periods off the plan, or we're going out to social events, or whatever it might be, you're going out on date nights, you're going out socialising, you're going to parties, you're trying to drink, you're trying to find that balance, set boundaries, because part of the reason that you joined this program in the first place may be that you didn't have these boundaries in place. I speak to a lot of people and they're like, I went out at the weekend trying to find that balance that you talked about, and it went a little bit over the top. They were trying to find balance, but they didn't have boundaries. So instead of going out till 2 in the morning and drinking 20 drinks, maybe your boundary would be to go home at 11, or limit yourself to 8 drinks, or just drink until you felt comfortable and social, and then you go home. Set boundaries. Or maybe your boundaries may be, instead of going out every week, I'm just going to go out once or twice a month, just when I really feel like it, or there's a special event coming up. These boundaries are going to help you move forward. They're going to help you achieve your goals, and they're going to help you achieve balance. Without boundaries, there's no limits. Like Mike Tyson had no boundaries with his spending money. He didn't put boundaries in place, and he spunked all those millions that he made. And that can be the same with people in their health as well. Without boundaries, they just go out. They don't understand what balance is. They can't find balance. They can't achieve balance. They have no boundaries, and they get pulled completely out of balance as a result. So set those boundaries for yourself. Maybe it's going to be, I'm going to say no to social events. Maybe that will be your boundaries. or maybe your boundaries may be, I'm not going to get carried away with the chocolate at the weekend. My boundary is going to be just half or two squares, or your boundary might be, I'm just going to go out on Christmas, birthdays, Easter, weddings. Whatever your boundaries are, set them and honour them, because they're important and they're going to help you achieve balance and long-term results. Okay, time for my top tips. What are my top tips? Alright, so as you know, I used to be a pretty bad extremist, and I used to take things to the extreme, and as a result I was pulled massively out of balance, and it did have a very negative effect on my life. So I'm very passionate about this, and what I've learned over the last 5 years, or probably the last 2 years where I've had better balance, are these 5 tips, and I want to give you these today, and I want you to listen to them, I want you to respect them, and I want you to implement them. So number 1, connect. Connect with the earth, connect with nature, connect with people. We live in a digital world. This is very, very evident to everybody. We spend so much time sat in a brick building on a leather seat looking at a computer screen. This isn't healthy, it doesn't contribute towards balance, and it doesn't contribute towards optimal health, which is everybody's goal. So my advice is reconnect with the earth, and I'm going to put a man on the end because it sounds a bit hippie. Connect to the earth, man, and just get out in nature, go for a walk, take your shoes and socks off, put your feet on the sand, put your feet on the grass, put your feet on the soil. Go and sit in the garden with your feet on the grass and relax. Connect to the earth. There's a positive energy. Get that constant electrical current out of your body, and you will feel a lot fresher in body, mind and spirit if you can make time to connect to the earth, connect with nature. Going camping is a fantastic thing to de-stress. Just no electric and out in nature, reconnecting. Number 2, on the complete opposite end, we're going to disconnect. Disconnect. Turn your phone off, turn your TV off, turn your computer off, turn your laptop off. Get all of that stuff off. Get your head out of the digital world. Help yourself to connect to the now, the present, today. Get yourself out of the electrical world. So whether your boundaries from the previous screen, boundaries might be no electric after 7 o'clock, and I promise you this will make your life so much better. No phone after 7, and no phone for the first hour of the day. No electric for the last hour, and no electric for the first hour of the day. That is my second top tip. Disconnect from the digital world. Get your head in now. No phones, no laptops, no TVs, nothing. Just you. And if you can, in those hours, get to nature in that hour. Number 3. Just got my notes. Date night. And you may not have a partner to do date night with, but make time to do something with a friend. Make time to go out and connect. Disconnect from all electrics, connect with nature, and be with somebody when you do it. Humans, we need interaction, we need love. So make time for that. In my previous phase, when I was out of balance, I never ever did that. I was just working, training, and I never took time out to go on date night. And my life is so much better when you make that time. Put it into your boundaries as a non-negotiable. Put it in and make time for it. The world and life is so much better when you've got love and you make time to give love and receive love. It just helps you de-stress. It makes us whole. It completes us as human beings. So make time for date night. I don't know if everybody is the same as me, but in my previous phase when I was out of balance, there just wasn't time for that. I never had time for that, and it had a massively detrimental impact on my overall health, well-being and balance. Number 4, we've talked about this already. Boundaries. You've got to have boundaries, because where we're going to end up, what we're going to do, all of this is going to get disconnected and forgotten about, It's not going to get put in place. It's not going to happen if we don't have boundaries in place. And these are hard to put in place. And sometimes it's better to get an outside perspective. Get a mentor, or get your coach, let me know. Or go and speak to your friend, like, how do you look at me? How do you view me? How do you view my life? How do you think I can achieve better balance with my life? How do you think I can achieve better happiness and better health within my life? What boundaries do you think I need to put in place? Where do I allow myself to get pulled out of balance? Where do I lack? What am I strong in? What do I lack in? What boundaries do I need to put in place? Am I a little bit too emotionally involved in my work? Am I a little bit too emotionally involved in my relationship? Am I not giving enough to my friends? Am I not giving enough to my kids? What boundaries do you need? We spoke about this a lot. So put boundaries in place and get people from outside to come in and help you. Mentor, coach, friends, family. Number 5. Review your week. Every Saturday morning at 7 o'clock, I allocate an hour where I just review my whole week. I review everything. Did I connect? Did I disconnect? Did I have date night? Did I stick to my boundaries? Did my work go well? Did my social media advertising go well? Did my coaching go well? Did my own training go well? What do I need to improve on, and how can I best move forward? How can I make more time for the activities that are important? What do I need to turn around? How can I be a better human being? Review your week, because what will happen is creeping standards. I call it creeping standards. One day, you're 1 hour off. But everything was alright. The world survived. It was alright. The next week, 1.5 hours off, or whatever you're measuring. It might be you were 1 gram measuring your food off, or you were 1 training session off, or you were 1 hour short of your sleep, or you missed 1 date night, or you forgot to pick your kids up from school once. Well, hopefully you didn't do that. And then the week after, you're 2 hours off. But everything was alright. It kind of shuffled around and it recalibrated and we got away with it. It wasn't a big deal. Next week, you're 2.5 hours off. And nothing bad really happened. It kind of readjusted. Didn't quite get all that sleep in, but I was right. I kind of dealt with it. And before you know it, instead of being bang on, you're 4 weeks in and you're 2.5 hours off. But because of creeping standards, you didn't notice. So just thinking that everything's alright all the time isn't alright. Because creeping standards will creep in. It will take you away from your morals, your values and your standards without you realising it, and it will pull you out of balance. So review regularly, weekly, and be brutally honest with yourself. And again, something similar that we can do when we're in boundaries is get an outside person to give you feedback on that as well. So you can be a little bit biased, you can be a bit hard on yourself, you can be a bit lenient on yourself. So get someone else to do your reviews as well. I get my mentor from Canada, I get him to give me my reviews. These are my reviews, what do you think of me? And he will be brutally honest with me, but it's good. It's a good activity to do, and it's something you should allocate into your Google Calendar as a weekly task. Put a review in and review everything that you've done. Have a good self-assessment once a week. Okay guys, that was a big day today, a lot to take in. I hope you had your notepad out. Just quickly grab these notes down. Tomorrow it's time to book your weekly catch-up call, and then more content towards the second half of the week. Have a great day and I'll speak to you all soon.